in the glowing heart of Lagos, where luxury cars lined the streets and skyscrapers lit up the skyline like a galaxy of glass. The wedding of the year was unfolding inside the Crystal Rose Banquet Hall, its golden chandeliers shimmering like 1,000 suns and silk-draped tables covered with crystal glasses. A night meant to celebrate love, success, and elegance, yet destined to be remembered for something far darker. The groom Tay, a tall and broad-shouldered black African man with smooth dark skin, exuded confidence as he walked through the crowd in a custom-tailored navy blue jacquard tuxedo with a black velvet collar, paired with slim-fit trousers, polished Oxford shoes, and a diamond-studded wristwatch that reflected under the lights. His neatly faded haircut and groomed beard giving him the air of a man who had everything under control, while the bride Zori, a striking black African woman with radiant ebony skin and a graceful figure, floated across the hall in a flowing ivory silk gown with a plunging neckline, delicate crystal beadwork tracing her curves, her natural hair pressed into sleek waves adorned with golden clips, and her strappy high-heeled sandals sparkling with each step. She looked like royalty, her smile captivating everyone around her. Yet behind that radiant smile was a heaviness, a fragile secret that trembled beneath her painted lips, one that no amount of music or laughter could silence. As the guests cheered, sipping champagne and dancing to Afrobeat rhythms, Ziri excused herself from the dance floor, her delicate fingers brushing Tay's arm with a quick reassurance, though her eyes darted nervously toward the corridor beyond. And while everyone else remained caught in the glamour, Tay noticed the shift in her expression, a flicker of unease that pierced his chest with worry, so he followed her silently, his polished shoes gliding over the marble floors until he reached the dim hallway at the far end of the hall where shadows fell across the patterned wallpaper. And there, his breath caught his bride. The woman he adored stood before a blank wall, her palm pressed against its cold surface, whispering in a voice soft but desperate, "I know you hear me. I know you never left. Please don't go tonight." And for a moment, Tay's world tilted, his heartbeat thundering in his ears, as though the music from the reception had faded into silence. He had always known Ziri carried scars from her past, nights when she would wake trembling in his arms, eyes staring at invisible figures only she could see. But he had told himself love would heal it, that his devotion and wealth would give her peace. Yet now, on the most important night of their lives, she was speaking to a wall as though it breathed, as though it answered back. Its voice, low and trembling, broke the silence. "Zuri, my love, who are you talking to?" "There's no one here." But she turned, tears streaking down her cheeks, her eyes haunted yet filled with pain, whispering, "Tay, I wanted to tell you, but I was so afraid. This isn't just a wall. It's where the voices come. Voices of the ones I lost. They follow me. They never let me go." And Tay's heart clenched, confusion twisting with sorrow as he reached for her, his strong hands gently pulling her trembling body against him, her silk gown rustling as she leaned into his chest. Yet her gaze kept darting back to that wall with the desperation of someone leaving behind a loved one. And Tay felt helpless, like a man holding water in his hands, love slipping through his fingers as fear consumed the woman he had promised forever to. The reception continued just beyond, laughter and drums vibrating through the walls. Yet here in this corridor time felt frozen, the truth of Zuri's hidden torment unraveling like a wound he had never dared to see, and though he wanted to dismiss it as nerves, as exhaustion, he couldn't ignore the depth of her trembling, the raw plea in her voice, and it broke him, shattered him. That she had carried this alone even as he believed they shared everything. He pressed his lips against her forehead, whispering, "I'm here, no wall. No voice can take you from me." But even as he spoke, he saw it in her eyes. She didn't believe it. She couldn't, because to her the walls had a life, a memory, a presence that even love couldn't erase. And as he guided her back slowly toward the reception, his heart sank with every step, for he knew their wedding would not be remembered for its beauty, its music, or its wealth, but for the haunting truth that on the night they should have been one. He discovered the woman he loved was chained to a past he could neither see nor fight, and though his friends raised glasses to toast their union, his soul whispered a prayer of fear, for he sensed that what happened in that corridor was not just a moment of madness, but the beginning of a truth that would test not only his marriage, but his very faith in the woman he thought he knew. The following morning, as the sun stretched its golden fingers across Lagos, the opulent penthouse that overlooked the Atlantic Ocean should have been filled with the bliss of a newly married couple. But instead, it held silence so heavy that every ticking second from the crystal wall clock sounded like thunder. Tay, still dressed in the black silk robe he had hastily pulled on after a sleepless night, stood by the glass wall, staring out at the endless blue horizon, his thoughts a storm of questions he could not escape, while Zuri sat curled up on the velvet chaise behind him, wearing a flowing maroon satin slip dress, her natural curls loosened from their golden clips, her bare feet tucked beneath her, her eyes fixed not on him but on the corner of the room as if the walls themselves demanded her attention. And Tay's chest tightened with both love and despair, because he had vowed to be her strength, yet now he felt powerless. Watching the woman he adored torn between their reality and invisible voices, he turned, his voice firm yet trembling. Zuri, you have to trust me. Whatever this is, we can face it together. But you must let me in. Stop shutting me out. And for a moment her lips quivered as if she might confess. But instead her gaze shifted toward the ivory-painted wall, her trembling hand reaching out as though touching an unseen figure. Whispering softly, they are still here. Tay, they are always here. Watching, waiting. I cannot leave them. And the words pierced his soul deeper than a knife. For he realized this was not a fleeting madness, but a prison she had lived in for years, one she had kept hidden even from him. Desperation drove him to action. He rushed across the room, gently holding her shoulders, his deep brown eyes searching hers with an intensity that shook her. Zuri, listen to me. I don't care if it's ghosts, memories, or something I cannot understand. I will not lose you to the walls. You are my wife, my life. You belong here with me. But as his voice cracked, her tears fell, soaking the maroon silk, and she whispered, You don't understand, Tay. The voices are my family. It's the ones I lost when the fire destroyed our home. Their screams etched into the walls of my memory, and whenever I see these walls, I hear them. I feel them. As if they never left me, and suddenly everything aligned: her sleepless nights, her haunted stares. The whisper's dairy was not speaking to ghosts, but to grief, to wounds buried so deep that even love had failed to reach them. Tay's knees weakened, his robes sweeping against the carpet as he sank beside her, pulling her fragile body into his arms. His heart breaking not because she was broken, but because she had carried this unbearable weight alone, hiding her pain beneath designer gowns and radiant smiles, while he foolishly believed wealth and love alone could heal it. Then let me carry them with you, he whispered fiercely. Let me stand between you and these walls. Let me fight the shadows so you never face them alone again. But though his words were powerful, Zuri shook her head slowly, her tears falling onto his chest. You cannot fight what lives inside me, Tay. You cannot silence voices only I can hear. And for the first time, Tay felt truly helpless. A man of immense success and influence brought to his knees by a truth money could never fix. And yet his love refused to surrender. Days passed after the wedding. Days that should have been their honeymoon, but instead turned into a quiet war between love and shadows. Tay took her 2 therapists, dressed in modern Ankura blazers and sleek pencil skirts. Experts who spoke softly in polished offices filled with books and paintings. But Zuri's eyes always drifted back to the walls, her silence more powerful than their counsel. He brought her to luxurious resorts where palm trees swayed, and the ocean whispered freedom. She wore elegant, flowing maxi dresses with golden sandals, yet even there her gaze fell on the walls of their villa, her whispers never ceasing. Frustration gnawed at Tay. Yet each night he held her, whispering promises into her ear, hoping love's persistence could break grief's chains. But one evening, after weeks of struggle, he found her in their penthouse corridor again. Her hands pressed firmly against the wall, her silk nightgown fluttering in the breeze from the balcony, and her voice trembling as she whispered, "Why did you leave me? Why couldn't I save you?" And his heart shattered anew because he realized this was not madness but mourning, a wound that had never healed. He stepped forward, wrapping his arms around her, pressing his forehead to hers, his voice raw. "Then we will build new walls, Zuri, ones filled with laughter. Not screams, walls that carry our love, not your pain, but you must choose to step away from these." And for the first time she looked into his eyes with something more than sorrow there, was a flicker of hope. Fragile yet real, as though his words had reached a part of her grief untouched before. That night she allowed him to guide her hand away from the wall, her trembling fingers entwining with his, and though the voices lingered, they grew quieter, as if love itself had dimmed their strength, and in that fragile silence, Tay realized what true wealth was: not his tuxedos, not his penthouse, not his fortune, but the courage to love someone at their weakest. To choose them even when their shadows threatened to consume everything. As dawn broke over Lagos once more, Tay stood beside Zuri on the balcony, her flowing robe catching the morning light, her head resting on his chest, and though the road ahead was uncertain, he knew one truth: he would never let her face the walls alone again. For love was not about perfection, but about standing firm when brokenness threatened to destroy everything.